Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sunny here, and this is episode 2 of The Penguin. Uh, Interesting opening in which Sophia Falcone is back in the asylum and being visited by her brother, only he has that missing finger. And as they're talking, she realizes he's dead. And then she starts to scream, at which point she comes out of this trance that her therapist has put her in. And he wants to know what it is she saw. And she won't tell him. I don't know if this is a very good therapist. If he's having her do things that not getting the information back out of it. Anyways, we cut to the Penguin, who's back at Blackgate Prison, visiting Sal Maroni, who also has his wife and number one son there. They're not too happy with the Penguin, considering he killed Alberto and is now laying the blame on them, and they don't know that they shouldn't just rat him out on it. And he reminds them, yeah, but you've been wearing your ring all around here, so you've obviously accepted. And you might as well take the credit. And then they cut down to the deal of the Penguin letting them know where the transfer of the drops is going to be. Oh, and he makes them understand he will be in the lead car. Leave that car alone. And they say, okay, fine. And then the movement of the drops is going forward when he's told by one of the upper echelons of the Falcones that he's going to be riding with the drops in the FEMA van that they're using. They want to make sure everything goes okay. You know, what with Alberto being killed by the Maroons and everything. So reluctantly he gets in the van with them. And then the heist goes into action, and the men shoot out the guard card in the back. And Ozzy, good old Penguin, he takes out the men in the van. The van comes to a stop. He opens the back door, starts letting in one of the Maronis. It turns out the driver wasn't dead, and he shoots the Maroni thug. And Oswald shoots him. And the truck hits forward and crashes into things. He gets out, shoots at a couple of the Maroni men, and grabs up one of the other cars that was in the thing, gathers everybody into it from the crew, and they take off. Wow, the Penguin saved everyone. If not for him, they might have all gone down. But they did lose the drops, which the Falcones are not too happy about. Then the Penguin tries to, kind of sweet talk Sophia about how, she really should be the one running it. After all, she's Carmine's daughter, Alphonse's brother. Why should her Uncle Luca be taking over the operations? She scoffs him off. Although she was pretty much told by Luca and the others that she doesn't really need to be involved with everything. And they'll get to getting revenge on her brother when the time's right. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. So she takes her bodyguard and tracks down a detective. Well, used to be Detective West, who's now Major Drophead. So they need him to start hunting around to see just which one of the Falcones gave information to the Maroons. It's obvious there's a rat in the organization. Penguin had said the same thing to her. He'd actually said it in front of all the head of the family too. It was kind of obvious. So they give him some drops, and he goes to start looking. That night, Penguin has a little party with the men from that saved from the rave. Butter them up too, and even has Vic, his chauffeur, basically. Lets him cozy up with one of the girls, although he's a little nervous, not very experienced, he's a teenager. And she kind of likes him, he's kind of sweet. Eve, who runs all these girls, is a little pissed at Penguin because she's figured out the reason he needed that alibi was he's the one who killed Alberto, and she doesn't want to see her girls or herself get caught in any crossfires from whatever he's pulling. He reassures her. He's a good sweet talker, despite his looks. Then we get to the funeral where Penguin shows up late because he had to deal with his mother, whose dementia is still progressing, sadly. And there he and Sophia talk some more when Castillo, her bodyguard / gopher, gets a phone call and says they have to go meet someone. Well, they're having a wake at the house after the service at the church, and they go to the house, and West has grabbed the wounded Maroni soldier out of the hospital. He's under a morphine drip right now, but when he comes to, he'll be able to answer any questions they have. So they sneak him into the basement, and Castillo is left to guard him. Now, Penguin's been called into the Maronis. Mrs. Maroney's not too happy with the fact that one of her men was taken out, and he's got to get him back. In fact, maybe they don't need him anymore at all. And they're getting ready to get him off because they don't trust him when, in a bargain, he gives her some the blackmail material he had gotten from Alberto. Safe. And seems there's been a little fooling around with Falcone's wife, with someone else that, this may be interesting. How much more has he got? He's got plenty. Half the city council, probably. And government, cops, and everything. Alright. But he's got to get man back. ASAP. So, Vic and the Penguin go to the wake, and the Penguin gives Vic the satchel of jewels that he took from the safe. He wants them planted in Johnny Vita's car. He's going to be the scapegoat. Then he goes and kind of looks around, sees Castillo guarding the place. Got brother caught keeping him. So he goes up to a couple of bosses and complains. Why isn't he let in on the fact they got a Maroni in the basement being guarded? Oh. Well, that's interesting. So they grab Castillo and Sophia and want to know what the heck she's doing. Meanwhile, Penguin goes down the basement, wakes the guy up, and tells him when they ask him who is the guy that gave him the information, he's to say Johnny Vita. Fortunately, Vic got caught trying to break into the car and ran off. And he calls Penguin about that. Okay, this changes plans. He pulls out a knife and kills the guy. Cleans the knife off, cleans himself off, sneaks out. Well, when they find the dead man, well, they know now. There is a mole, and he's in the house somewhere. So they gather up the entire crew from the botched transfer. And here, while they're all being searched for a knife, Penguin, always able to think on the go, gets into a shoving match with one of the Falcones. They're the one that is the scapegoat. And when they break everyone, and when everyone breaks them apart, they continue to search. And who should have the knife? Castillo. Penguin planted it on him in the scuffle with another guy. Really smart. If he had planted it on the guy he was scuffling with, that would have looked suspicious. He's just brilliant. Anyway, Sophia is hurt and betrayed by this. And she's asking for a gun to shoot him when her uncle Luca shoots him instead. He's got to deal with this. She's not the one to deal with this. She kind of thinks otherwise. And then he says, maybe it's time you got out of town. Perhaps you should go to Italy, where you spent your summers with your friends and cousins. There's a pause. And she goes, yeah, sounds good. And leaves. Penguin is tasked with getting rid of both the Maroni and Castillo. And he has Vic dig a grave, put the bodies in, and then he pushes Vic into the grave and gives him quite the beration. Berates him really much. When you're given a job to do, you complete it. He always completed whatever Carmine told him to do. Didn't matter how difficult or impossible it was, he got it done. Because if you don't, that's where you end up. Having now forced Vic's understanding of how this life works and whether he thinks he's got the brass to stay in it. And Vic says he does. So pulls him out and has him bury the bodies. Wow. He's got something else he's got to take care of. Then Sophia calls the Penguin. She wants to meet him at the family mausoleum. He goes there, and Sophia's there with the bag of jewels. They found him in Castillo's apartment. That was the thing Penguin had to do. She now realizes there's no one in the family she can trust. Maybe she can trust Ozzy. Oswald Cobb. He's offered. She's going to take him up on it. And in a weird bit, she holds his hand while they stare at her brother's grave mausoleum block. Okay. Like last episode where they ended the credits with 9 to 5, denoting that this is just work. For this one, they end with the Turtles classic Happy Together. I don't know if I want to see those two in a romantic thing. They're both kind of crazy, although Penguin's a little better at hiding his than she is. Yeah, really good episode. Love the way they're painting the Penguin. I mean, he is the one that's overlooked by everybody, and yet is smarter than any of them. And they just, because of his looks and the fact he's not, although I think technically he would be considered a made man, considering how high up in the original Falcone family he was. He's not really one of them. Never has been. After all, he's got that weird leg. He's ugly. He's fat. Bit of a slob. Yeah. Which is kind of a callback to the Batman. When he and the Batman are having a tussle, and he goes, "Don't you know my reputation?" And Batman goes, "Yes. Do you?" Yeah, Penguin doesn't have much of a reputation, unfortunately. And I'm pretty sure this is going to all come back to bite the Falcones, the Maroons, everybody. There's a reason he's in the upper echelons of Batman villains and why he's been around for 80 years. I mean, sure, he's been kind of a comical character, and like the Riddler, he was kind of a joke for a lot of his history, but much like the Joker and the Riddler, there is something there in that core creation of the character that you can build on and make him a feared foe. Anyways, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.